as requested by the Tushals were tabulated, and that amounted to $500 million for equipment, support for transportation for school children, emergencies, and such like. That was debated in full in December. However, I will now answer the second part of this question. The second part of this question speaks to support for the youth CSO program, economic programs under the Secure Livelihood, the presidential grant for 2014, under agriculture, supporting agriculture, the purchase of tractors and drip irrigation, support for culture. Culture is an important part of the indigenous people's life, and therefore we will be supporting Cultural Expo in the North Pacarimas, cultural projects in various communities, musical instrument, language revival project, and the other projects will be falling under tourism and youth projects, under education, the subvention to Bina Hill Institute, and infrastructure projects which will cater for working centers, village offices, and multi-purpose centers.
1 second, after Mr. Williams, it was Ms. Marcelo. Then after Ms. Marcelo is going to be Ms. Hastings, then Ms. Williams, then I think Mr. Ali Park as well. Dr. Lotta, I will reserve you for last, if you don't mind. For the convention.
I would refer, Mr. Chairman, the same thing that my colleague was speaking about 500 million that was allocated in that place. The Honorable Minister stated some of the communities and the boats and agencies she will be purchasing for, as well as the amount. So right here again, I realize that they have purchase of engines, boats and engines, purchase of vehicles and motorcycles. I just want to ask the Honorable Minister how many boats and engines she will be purchasing with this allocation, how many vehicles as well as how many motorcycles. Right?
Mr. Speaker, I think the honorable member is speaking to two heads, water transport and land transport, so I will provide her with an answer. Mr. Speaker, with respect to land transportation, a 4x4 vehicle will be purchased for the Minister's Secretariat. ATV will be purchased for Kako and Karasbai. A motorcycle will also be purchased for Karasbai CHW. That is the amount or the number of vehicles that will be purchased for land transportation. And for water transportation, we will purchase a 40 horsepower for the Maburuka CBO, one boat for the Maburuka CBO, an outboard engine and boat for Kukurit and Amerindian Village, a cargo boat and engine for Santa Rosa Islands, a 21 feet boat and a 75 horsepower for Akwini, 40 horsepower outboard engine and boat for Bethany, a boat and engine for Lord Waterseeker, 15 horsepower boat and engine for Quebelan, 40 horsepower Yamaha engine for Philippi, 40
Minister, at the same time, could you please give us a list?
Yes,
One member, sorry. Minister, when will you
we can give her now.
The list will be available now. Thank you. I recognize Ms. Dawn Hastings. Ms. Hastings, the questions, please.
Mr. Chair, my question was answered. 403,000, I'd be happy to have it.
I recognize Ms. Renita Williams.
Chairman, back to the 5 million that was approved this year.
500 million.
That is approved. I would like to ask the Minister for a breakdown of the projects that in each community and how can they go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
think the question now would be approval in December, how is the money spent in December coming in April?
As I alluded to in the December debate, we had most of the documentation prepared in anticipation that it will be approved by the House. And so far, we are very well on our way for completing procurement of all the items.
Very well, I recognize Ms. Adcock.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Code 1400100. Can the Honorable Minister say what is the allocation for each of the 4 items mentioned for the 1,100,000 individual application?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under the economic projects, secure livelihood, $5 million. Presidential grant 2014, $200 million. The youth apprenticeship project, $796 million. Under agriculture, tractors, $26,400,000. Drip irrigation, $2.5 million. Under culture, we have a total of $21.1 million, and the breakdown is cultural expo in the North Paparanus, $5 million. Cultural projects, $8.5 million. Musical instrument, $1.5 million. Sports gears, $2.1 million. The language revival project, $4 million. Tourism projects under the ADF, we will have $15 million. For the education, subvention to Bina Hill Institute, $6 million. For infrastructure support, we will have woodworking center, $16 million. Village offices, $6 million. And multi-purposes center, $6 million. And that will bring us to this grand sum of $1.1 billion for African development.
Ms.
Thank you
Adcock.
very much, Mr. Chairman. Can the Honorable Minister say whether there was any assessment done to see if it is keeping with the needs of the people and building that self-confidence and independence of the Armenian people?
Mr. Speaker, I would like to say yes. This Armenian Development Fund that we have presented here came out of the National Tushals Council meeting in October, when 205 Armenian leaders sat and discussed their priorities and their needs, which they wanted the government to make supportive intervention to. This year, captured some of it, because the 500 million did not capture all. We dealt with the $500 million, the priority issues. Here we are bringing the total sum now of what we made, including other requests which village councils would have gleaned from their community meetings in consultation with their people. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, that the empowerment of the Amerindian villagers today is much higher than it was before. And I have great confidence in the Amerindian people that they can decide what support the government they can.
Honorable Minister, are you aware that the support officers are not trained? And how could they give support to their village councils when they are not specialized in certain areas? And are you aware that it is bypassing the authority of the village council?
Mr. Speaker, I am not aware of any such situation. What I am aware of is the Anai Village Council analysis of the CSO that are attached to the Village Council. And for us, they said the Village Council that most of the CSOs in that district are females, and they are very helpful to the village council. They are engaged in a lot of different institutions and activities in the village, tourism, agriculture, education, and the village council's office. They are in office every day. Mr. Speaker, obviously if there is something amiss with this report, we have CEOs and project officers who go out in the field, and of course, as minister, I would wish to validate such a report coming in. So maybe I will tend to evaluate it to see if it's correct.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Minister, I'm not sure that you are aware of the true picture, reality. There has been a lot of these young people, because of not knowing exactly what to do to support the community, they absent themselves, and that is spending good money, which if it was done the right way, it would have been far better. We have to listen how we
I think that Mr. Alikop was making the point that we may not be fully aware of what is happening in the I don't know whether he's speaking in his own region. I didn't receive a letter today from somebody. But I think Mr. Alikop is trying to make the point that many of these persons without being properly trained upset themselves because they don't know what to do. And it is leading to what he is talking about money. I think that's the point Mr. Alikop is making.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I would wish to respond to that. Mr. Speaker, the CSO program actually offers a very good opportunity for youths to develop, and also for the village council to support youths in developing their human capital and social capital. Mr. Speaker, the CSOs contribute to community development. They help and support the village council in accountability and transparency. They are engaged also in
Can we hear the minister's
monitoring.
response, please? I need to hear minister's response. And I'm sure Mr. Alikop wishes
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I will repeat. The CSO program offers a very good opportunity for Amerindian village to develop their human and social capital, and that's the youth. Mr. Speaker, the youth contribute to community development, activities, events, various sectors within their community, education, they support as aides to qualified teachers in school, they support the CHW, they support also infrastructure, whereby community who has received solar power units and need to have monitoring, or elderly pensioners who want something to be done on their houses. And Mr. Speaker, I wish this house would have had an electronic means for me to show. Today on Facebook, the Parima Village Council leader, Damien, he has put on the website on Facebook how wonderful the CSOs are now coming in the children's park, flyers, swings, and he said this is for our children, and even those elderly which miss out on their childhood. In fact, he also produced a village leaders who were the NPC, all the activities the CSOs engage in. And Mr. Alikop would know that in the recent Art and Music Festival, how all the CSOs in the Northern Pununi district took on the supporting role of ensuring that that festival was a success. And that speaks for itself.
Mr. Chairman,
All members,
On the same project, if we don't get this right, we could never go right. And the honorable minister state, if they have done, what do you call an assessment to verify whether these monies are properly spent. We talk about accountability. Would these young people be accountable if they are not trained? We believe that the institutions such as technical institutions, institution for agricultural development,
I'll call the question you need to a specific question, you made a comment about what you believe. Is there a question? Do you have a question to the minister on what you just said? Or does it
the
your
question
opinion?
was, that assessment is verify whether these money are spent properly.
Is there some kind of policy analysis see whether the targets are being met?
Mr. Speaker, the project is now in its 6th month, that's it, 8 months. And Mr. Speaker, we are in the process of preparing a report. In fact, I was sent by the technical people a report from June to December, which we are now reviewing. And of course, we will be able to evaluate the successes, the lessons, and the experiences that this new and innovative projects, which includes more than 900 Amerindian youths across the Hillville region, and this will give us a light on what he's doing.
I remember there are a number of members of the indicated desire to speak, and I will, in the order which I have seen them, Mrs. Cruz is next. That will be followed by Ms. Lowe, then Ms. Hastings, and Mr. Williams, and of course Dr. Norton is still waiting, and I don't want him to feel that he's waiting. Oh, sorry, I didn't. And Mr. Nadir. Go ahead, Mrs.
Honorable Minister, looking at agency heading 14001000, you mentioned the secure livelihoods and youth entrepreneurship and apprenticeship program. Can you tell us how many young people are going to be trained and exactly what villages are being targeted?
Mr. Speaker, under the program, we will be training this year maintenance of vehicles, because that's important with the ATVs and all vehicles going into certain regions, for example, in Region 8, ATVs.
How many people? How many
Mr.
young people?
Speaker, for those on the infrastructure, we have 2 each per village. Computer training, and of course that's preparing each village for the establishment of
Honorable
the computer
Minister,
system.
I'm just asking how many? You said it's trending 796 million.
187 villages by 2 persons in each sector.
187 villages, 2 persons.
In each sector. So if we're training in computer literacy, we will train 2. So that they will be the trainer of trainers when the 1 laptop per family project kicks in.
Follow-up question. The offices that you mentioned and the multi-purpose buildings, what villages are we looking to get for those again?
I'm advised that for the construction of the village offices, it will be Batavia, Parmakatoy, Carisparrow, and Kaibarupai. For the multi-purpose building, it will be Walaba, Yupukari, Kamana, and Crowdar.
And finally, the drip irrigation. What communities are we talking about there? Minister, you actually have a list that I could could have access to, that would be fine in the interest of time.
Yes, you will provide them.
Okay, thank you.
Today or
In fact, we will give it to you. Right.
Thanks.
I recognize next Ms. Valerie Rizzo.
Thank you. Last year, this house approved 200 million for that project. Can the Honorable Minister tell us how many youths were trained and what areas, what sectors, this amount of last year? And what their duration was?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Out of the 200 million budget last year, we trained 198 CSOs in the management of photovoltaic systems. We trained 198 in infrastructure, ICT, management of basic computer hardware. We trained 392 in governance. We trained 102 in business development training, and of course this is done with the UNDP, MOAA, and MPTEC. We've trained in agriculture, 37, and of course in basic report writing, communication, business plans, basic social welfare issues. We trained 498 such CSOs.
In the business area, the entrepreneurship area, what were they exposed to exactly? What business?
Mr. Speaker, we will expose them to business training, and we've already trained 102, and this training was done by Infotech.
That is all business management or food processing or what? Just need examples.
This is business management training.
Business management.
Thank you.
Next question. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Honorable Minister, before I say the next question, we are getting both positive and negative reports on this program. Apparently, it has a weakness and it needs to be strengthened. And I would like to ask, how many of these youths dropped out of last year's program?
Mr. Speaker, the dropout rate is very, very minimal. In fact, I may not, very minimal. In fact, there is a request for expansion, and that's why you will realize that this year, additional sums are voted for expanding the program. And we will also be expanding it to region 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10.
Honorable Minister, before expanding the program, we should strengthen the weaknesses, run over the program again, and find those areas to strengthen them before you expand.
Mr. Speaker noted the assessment is in the review stage and is moving.
I recognize next Ms. Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Minister, on the same program of the CSOs. Question, have you catered in this allocation for ongoing training sessions? Why I ask the questions, I have some at the school. And I would like to know if you can cater for like librarian training, because we'd be happy to have the CSOs, but they must be trained with librarian skills. We need someone to operate a computer at the schools. But these, I think, are not being done, and I'll be very happy if we can cater for these training sessions, and we can see the real value for money that is being spent.
Thank you, Derek. In this year's budget, in this year's budget, we've catered for sums to be allocated for training. And this year, we will still be focusing on computer training. We'll be focusing on maintenance of vehicles and equipment. and library.
Next question will be asked by the Honorable Member Mr. Williams.
I would like to ask the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs if the funds, so this fund that has been disbursed so far and that she's for requesting it will be audited by the Attorney General.
No, the Honorable Member said, I would like to ask the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs if the fund that she is disbursing, that's quite proper. Go ahead, Mr. Williams. Go ahead. Mr. Williams asked the question. I didn't hear it. Go ahead.
I would like to ask the Honorable Minister of Amerindian Affairs if the funds that was previously approved by this House and subsequently now requested, if these funds will be audited by the Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, most naturally, any expenditure that is approved by this House is there's secure and guarantee that it will be audited.
Thank you very much. My second question, Mr. Speaker, is there a special unit in the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs that is tasked, coordinated, and set up to execute these programs?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs has a very dynamic and vibrant project unit.
Mr. Speaker, my third question to the Honorable Amerindian Affairs Minister. She started by saying that this program came out of the consultation of over 200 Amerindian leaders. Mr. Speaker, the GRIF funds from the LCDS provide for projects of development for Amerindian communities. I would like to ask the Minister, therefore, if she's running here a parallel program or if there is some harmonization and thinking with what the GRIFs provide for.
Mr. Speaker, just for clarity, GRIF funds belongs to Guyana. It's Guyana's money. And whatever project and funds are funded through GRIF, we consider it Guyana's money. Whatever project is funded by the project here is complementary to that.
Is this a part of it?
Mr. Williams, yes.
I just want to say that under the GRIF program, there is a mechanism for intense scrutiny. And I think about that after the LCDS and recent program, which should have had wide consultation across the Amerindian communities, we now have a proposal that over 200 leaders and some of these same programs are provided for on the projects and instruction. Next, I'm asking the Honorable Minister to expand to us how does this program relate, supplement to the GRIF program for which allocations are made and some of those projects
Mr. Speaker, may I enlighten this House that funds from the GRIF is allocated to two major projects that seeks to support our Indian development. One has to do with land security, and the other has to do with community development plans. The legislation or the Amerindian Act speaks to community development plans. And it also speaks to the village council having the authority to develop these plans. And of course, the ministry would support and facilitate wherever it is necessary. These community development plans are evolved from the village level, whereby the village council has a role to ensure that the community is consulted. The Ministry of Amerindian Affairs obviously would wish to know whether this has occurred, and our CDO, who sometimes comes from the very sub-region, would be part of some of these consultation to aid. And so therefore, Mr. Speaker, the project here goes through similar process, and it was clearly enunciated in the NTC that one of the major issues raised by the NTC leaders or by the community leaders and village leaders, both in the outreach and in the meetings. And I speak the community outreaches of training for indigenous youths in specific areas. And Mr. Speaker, I want to assure this House that the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs did not select areas for training. The village council recruited the CSOs, and the CSOs were asked to indicate what area or what sector they were interested in. And of course, when one tabulated the applications, it spoke to education, health, computer literacy, governance, leadership, business training. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, that is the level of consultation and the confidence that we believe at the grassroots level is capable of indicating to this government and to the ministry what level and type of support they require.
Mr. Williams?
The Honorable Minister highlighted two categories, mainly land title demarcation, and then there's a big area called community development plans. The Honorable Minister indicates to us that the national leaders in the Amerindian community, they are informed by the people on the ground more or less, especially the lower levels of leaders. So we have no definition here for community development plans coming out of the LCDS project as against community development plans.
Mr. Williams, I should say that in a sense your questions have to be restricted to what is before you. And the minister is not obliged really to answer questions within the LCDS. Because we have to consider the estimates and the programs that are before us. But I think your observation is noted. I recognize next Mr. Martin Nadir, and then Mr. Renita Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in the last question that the honorable member Williams asked, Mr. answered, because I wanted to find out how they were, these CSOs were chosen, and the minister did mention.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was a follow-up on Ms. Garrido's question, training programs. After these youths are trained, is there jobs provided for them? Where?
Mr. Speaker, the CSO, if one takes the time to understand, and maybe we need to explain a little bit. The CSOs are community service officers who are provided with an opportunity to serve their village. And Mr. Speaker, the CSO are trained in the areas that they requested, and of course they will be able to be empowered, their capacities and competencies will be lifted, and they become much more marketable. The government is not in the direct business of creating jobs. We create the environment and we create the human capital. We develop the human capital to meet those challenges. And it is our responsibility as a Ministry of Amerindian Affairs to set and build a foundation for our Amerindian youths to be able to face that challenge of being empowered, having skills, competencies, and capacity built so that they can reach out and absorb the opportunities that may abound in the community and outside.
Ms. Jones, one other question.
Mr.
Ms.
Chair.
Sarnam and Ms. Williams.
So the Honorable Minister, could she inform this House, since the program has started, how many dropped out she had in Region 1 and in Region 1 Maruca?
At this point, I don't have the information, but we can check and give it tomorrow.
Other members, I will take one more question from Mr. Chris Jones. Then I will come to Mr. Norton, and then I will put the question that's coming up at 6 o'clock, and we have
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
elapsed.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister informed us who does the CSOs report to?
Mr. Speaker, there's a system of reporting. The village council has oversight over the work of the CSOs because the CSOs actually work or provide support to village activities. At the local level, they report to the village council.
Honourable members, I invite Dr. Norton to. Dr. Norton. Dr. Norton has yielded the final question to Ms. Renita Williams. Go ahead, honourable member.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to be anything offensive to the honorable member, but from my knowledge and understanding, when we speak to CSOs on the ground, they just don't have the regards for the two shows. They say they are
Honourable members, I evince that I cannot put the question, and that is that the sums stated for program 161 for the Ministry of Marine Affairs, Marine Development capital expenditure should go forward as part of these estimates. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against? No. Could I have, very well. We're going to have the bell and we're going to give the opportunity for the technical officers, but could I say to the officers, I'd like to thank the minister, the officers for providing the answers as best as possible. Please know that some answers are to be provided, but I really would like to thank you for your time. I know you've been with us since yesterday, in fact. So thank you. So, and the bell is up.
Mr. T. Williams? Ms. Marcelo? Mrs. Romero? Mrs. Hughes? Mr. Namutu? No. Mr. Ranjitan? No. Ms. Robertson? No. Ms. Williams?
no.
Mr. Williams? No. Mr. Jones? No. Mr. Adams? No. Mr. Fabian?
No.
Ms. Bissoon? No. Mr. Elliott? No. Mr. Bond? No. Mr. Bond? No. Mr. Trotman? No. Ms. Selman? Mr. Alcott? Ms. Wade? Dr. Cummins? No. Mr. Felix? No. Ms. Hastings? No. Mr. Swart? No. Mr. Woodard? No. Lieutenant Colonel retired Ahmed? No. Mr. Greenwich? No. Dr. Martin? No. Lawrence? Mr. P. Williams? No. Ms. Ali?
No.
Dr. Rubnarai? No. Brigadier Retired Ranger? No. Mr. Jack Riley? Yes. Mr. Damon? Yes. Dr. Son?
Yes.
Reverend Gilbert?
Yes.
Dr. Manu?
Yeah.
Mr. Siraj?
Aye.
Mr. Dean Kumar? Yes. Mr. Lumumba? Mr. Chandu?
Aye.
Mr. G. Prasad?
Yes.
Mr. Shalik?
Yes, of course.
Mr. Shana Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Nadir?
Aye.
Mr. Sheeran?
Yes.
Mr. Nedil?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson? Mr. Bash? Yes. Mr. Sukai?
Yes.
Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Mr. Manichan?
Yes.
Mr. Ben?
Aye.
Dr. Anthony?
Yes.
Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Dr. Ram Saran?
Aye.
Dr. Westford?
Yes.
Ms. Arkansas?
Yes.
Sorry. Mr. Arkansas?
Yes.
Dr. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Judith Burger?
Yes.
Mr. Nanlal?
Yes.
Dr. Ramsami?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Honourable members, the division having been requested and voted in by the clerk, the report is that 33 members voted against the program one. Let's get it back. 33 members voted against program 161 on marine development going forward to form part of the estimates. 32 members voted for it to be considered by the Assembly. Therefore, at this point in time, the majority of the committee supply proposes that marine development does not form part of the approved estimates. Honourable members, we will now take the recess for 1 hour.